And hello, everyone. Welcome to TNO News Breaking October 5th. Let us start with President Trump's positive COVID case. President Trump to be discharged today later at 5 to 6:30 Central Standard Time. His doctors report he's feeling better and his fever has gone away. White House officials worry that he needs to stay longer as his blood oxygen level dropped several times over the last few days. Now 6 of the 9 people who were in close contact with the president at last Saturday's Rose Garden event have tested positive, including Kayleigh McEnany, which is the White House press secretary. The White House is like a hotspot, states First Lady Melania Trump, who also tested positive for the virus and is currently self-isolating at her home. She is showing mild to moderate COVID-19 symptoms. President Trump also being touted at from the CDC after the requirements say that the COVID-positive hospitalized patients shouldn't leave the hospital like President Trump did to wave at supporters outside Walter Reed while wearing a mask in the car. The CDC and FDA now worried that people will follow the president and won't go through the necessary requirements and precautions needed for a COVID-infected person. The Rose Garden event has been deemed a super spreader, but luckily the following have tested negative. They attended the Rose Garden event and the presidential debate: Vice President Mike Pence, Karen Pence, Ivanka Trump, Jared Kushner, Barron Trump, Attorney General William Barr, Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin, Secretary of Health and Human Services Alex Azar, Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Chad Wolf, White House Communications Advisor Dan Scavino, Deputy Trump Campaign Manager Justin Clark, Trump's personal attorney Rudy Giuliani, and Trump's SCOTUS nominee Amy Coney Barrett, who the Washington Post states that she had contracted the virus earlier. Next, the reopening of schools. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio to close all schools a week after they reopened as coronavirus cases rise there. In Notre Dame, 50 more students testing positive after making contact with the pastor who attended the Rose Garden event last Saturday and got infected himself. As more students headed back to school, staff, faculty, and students contracting the virus themselves. Schools make up 7% of all cases reported in the U.S. The CDC and WHO asking colleges to take off long breaks such as spring break, winter break, and Thanksgiving break as students travel and could bring back the virus. Now for coronavirus. 39 states now seeing an increase in infections. Only 3 states have declining cases. New York, the former epicenter, now on the rise. New York City mayor ordering new shutdowns for certain communities, including the Orthodox Jew community, whose cases are up to 78 a day. Montana seeing one of the worst scenarios as daily cases up to 8,000 there. Montana, one of the lowest populated states, but biggest, having the worst wave. Texas and Arizona also seeing cases increasing, but relatively low surges reported. Election 2020. The vice presidential debate to take place on Wednesday in Salt Lake City, Utah. New precautions and measures being put in place to prevent a repeat of the COVID spreading at the first presidential debate. Candidates will now be 12 feet apart. The moderator and all guests must wear a mask, chairs 6 feet apart, and wellness monitors and check-ins in place. New rules also being added after the catastrophic presidential debate. No interruptions allowed is a big one. Kamala Harris arrived yesterday and is preparing for it. Vice President Mike Pence is expected to arrive tomorrow. Pence also taking the lead in campaigning as Trump cannot do so. Biden and Harris doing virtually or social distance campaign events, while the Trump campaign is holding indoor rallies with little distancing and no mask required. Both candidates are valuable and tough competitors. Eye on the tropics. Eye on the tropics. Tropical storm Delta forming in the Gulf this morning, expected to make landfall in Louisiana later this week as a Category 1 to Category 3 hurricane. Delta expecting to make impact on Hispaniola before making landfall on the Louisiana-Mississippi border. Louisiana hit hard this year with 4 storms: Major Hurricane Laura, Hurricane Marco, and Hurricane Sally, and now Delta is expected. Tropical Storm Gamma made landfall in the Yukon Peninsula on Saturday, sending heavy rains to Cancun and Progreso. Now Tropical Depression Gamma expected to become a center of low pressure and move its way into Mexico again. Economy. The stock market having an excellent day. The market up after a low weekend. Apple, Tesla, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, Nike, GE all up after a weekend of negative 5,000% lows. 689,000 jobs have been created since May, shows the Department of Labor. Happy National Do Something Nice Day. Do something nice for someone today. Make sure to pay it forward. Thank you for watching TNO News Breaking October 5th. This is Kathik K signing off. Please continue to take care of yourself and each other. Have a great and safe day.